We will go on the record in the matter 22 CF 254 24 CF 101 State of Wisconsin versus Stephanie Current. The state appears through Assistant District Attorney Kevin Schmidt in person. We have Stephanie Current appearing in person in custody with counsel Michelle Erdman. All right, Mr. Schmidt, we will proceed with you with argument and sentencing recommendation.
Thank you. Judge, with this case, we have a 65-year-old woman who has been convicted of OWI 5 or 6 and a couple felony bail jumps. In the instant offense, Stephanie Current used Xanax and snorted a white powder given to her by a biker friend before getting into a car with her 2-year-old granddaughter and got into a car crash. The blood confirmed the presence of Xanax at 170 nanograms per liter and methamphetamine at 120 nanograms per liter and amphetamine at less than 40 nanograms per liter. The therapeutic range for methamphetamine, according to the clinical lab reference manual, is 20 to 30 nanograms per milliliter, making Stephanie's 3 to 4 times the therapeutic level. Normal dose for aprazolam is supposed to have a 5 to 25 nanogram per milliliter for therapeutic base. That's what the Xanax is, with high dose aprazolam therapy having a resulting range of 25 to 55, meaning the blood level of the Xanax was also quite high. Current contends that she didn't cause the crash, and so she can't be blamed. That's the impression I've gotten from the numerous hearings we've had, going all the way back to when Dan Chapman was the attorney, from the comments she's made in the PSI. My take on it is it appears that her main problem with this conviction isn't a disagreement about whether she used the drugs, whether she was driving, anything like that. She believes she was rear-ended due to no fault of her own, that the person behind her was driving poorly. Should be noted the person behind her indicated she was driving erratically to law enforcement, stopping and starting suddenly without reason. Regardless, getting drawn into the debate of who is at fault is irrelevant to what this offense actually is. That's not an element. The point is, her disagreement is that she didn't feel intoxicated. She didn't feel impaired. That's the thing we've been seeing over and over and over in the PSI, in her words to law enforcement at the scene, in court. Reading from her PSI, I get the impression she didn't think a single bit about the danger she was putting her granddaughter in, herself in, the public in, because she didn't think she was impaired. She mixed prescription medication Xanax with unknown white powdery substance from a biker friend, which turned out to be methamphetamine, and she didn't think she was impaired. That's a big problem because that shows a lack of insight. That shows extremely poor coping, especially with the history of substance abuse, that she doesn't see how she's putting all these people in danger, that she doesn't see how she continues to kill herself by doing things like that, how you destroy your own kidneys and liver when you're taking prescription medications, and then biker friend, unknown powdery substance. Why not? When I'm talking about substance abuse, what's important to look at with Ms. Current, I'm not just talking about alcohol, which has been a problem in the past, or the methamphetamine. I'm talking about the prescription medications. Just because you're getting something legally from a doctor doesn't mean you can't kill yourself or someone else with it if you don't use it responsibly. Judge, I'm actually going to be recommending a higher sentence than what DOC recommends. I'm recommending 4 years initial confinement, 4 years extended supervision on the OWI, and then 3 in, 3 out on the bail jumps concurrent to that.
Ms. Erdman, argument and sentencing recommendation, please.
Your Honor, our request is the mandatory minimum of 18 months on the OWI. And then for the felony bail jumps, we would ask for 1 year concurrent on each. Ms. Current, when I met her, had a pretty strong belief, and a lot of it is true, what the district attorney has stated. So from her perspective, the gentleman that hit her car was someone who was operating without a driver's license and had an accident just a few weeks prior, had totaled out his own car, was actually driving someone else's car. So from her standpoint, this did, precipitate from someone else's behaviors. And I think the thing that we struggled with in coming to some type of a resolution was that there's a strict liability or a mandatory, if you've got something in your system, if there's something in your bloodstream, then you can be found to be guilty regardless of when it got there. And I think that was probably the biggest thing that we needed to overcome. And once I was able to explain that to her, following, I think, the suppression hearing, it was then that she conceded that there was the basis to enter a plea and did so. So prior to that, I think there was kind of a impression in her mind anyway that she hadn't used anything that day, therefore she couldn't have been under the influence, and therefore this was an unwarranted charge. So regardless of how we got there, we're here today. Ms. Current, I think, is someone who has a history of emotional and mental health that dates back to childhood. She also has a criminal history that, please note that the last OWI was back in 2011. So it is a little bit dated. It's not as though she's someone who's really had just the string of mal-occurrences as of recent. Based on the law as it stands today, Your Honor, she's no longer eligible for a driver's license. And so we don't need to worry about protecting the public in that regard. And so I think the question for the court today, right, is how do we impress upon Ms. Current that behavior such as this isn't able to be tolerated, and also make sure that we've got the public being protected and addressing any needs she has in terms of rehabilitation. The substance use, I think she is able to avail herself of programming in the community. She's a 65-year-old woman who's not going to have a driver's license any longer. Her very good friend Tim is in the courtroom today. Tim is sober. Tim does not have any criminal history. I think he said maybe a driving ticket, if that, but he's got very good judgment. He's been very supportive all along of her, and I think she does have some good influence in her life. One of the things that I'm not clear if the most recent letter came to Your Honor or not. She pointed out that she's got a granddaughter, a daughter, and that, at her age, they're literally all she's got left. When we met yesterday, it was quite a long conversation about loss, and she had, I think, her parents within a year. That occurred not that long ago, and I think she mentioned maybe seven people had passed away, in a relatively short amount of time. And she basically is viewing herself, her daughter, and her granddaughter is pretty much all she has left. And then she's, of course, got Tim.
Ms. Current, I am now going to turn to you, and this is your opportunity to provide any statement that you wish to provide to the court. Anything you would like me to consider and to know. You don't have to tell me anything. You don't have to provide a statement, but this is your one and only opportunity to do so. Ms. Erdman, you stated something about some letters or some things. If I received some letters, I didn't receive any letters or any information.
Judge, it was perhaps just directed towards me, and I think we've covered it. So I don't think that there was anything, unless, are you reading to her that letter that you, is that what you, okay.
All right. If you're going to read a letter to the court, Ms. Current, please do so slowly and enunciate your words, because I have a court reporter who needs to take everything down. Okay.
Okay.
All right. And please speak very clearly into the microphone.
Do you want to read it, or do you want to?
Hi.
You want to?
There's been a lot said about me today, and obviously I don't see that any of it's true, and makes me sound like I'm out there doing drugs and getting drunk and throwing my granddaughter in the car saying, let's go for a joyride. And that's not how I live my life. I live a quiet life alone with a cat. I don't have company or visitors. Almost all of my friends and family died in 2017. So I've been alone, and I've become accustomed to this. And it's how I prefer to live the remainder of my life. I do have a daughter I'm pretty proud of raising, and a granddaughter I adore. My daughter graduated valedictorian and is now 25, and she started her career in accounting. Her road has had bumps, but I've always been able to insert myself in her life to guide her through. She and her daughter are the only things left of my family. And with my age, I fear I have very little time with them. Taking my granddaughter to the beach on the first day of summer in 2022 was my only goal for that beautiful day. Then someone hit me from behind and totaled my car. It's devastating how in 1 nanosecond, life went from sunshine with a happy little girl to everything being destroyed due to this incident. I lost my home, car, income, and my perfect quiet life I strive so hard to obtain. I don't drink or do drugs, nor do any acquaintances I have, which are few. And people that I do know are not involved with drinking or alcohol. That's not how they manage their life. 2 days prior to this incident, I made the mistake of taking someone else's Adderall. She said it would relieve my pain. Since this was in my system, I'm being accused of driving while intoxicated, and it has ruined me. I don't believe that I was intoxicated that day, or my judgment was impaired. Because this was 2 days prior to that.
Well, then I'm going to stop you. Why did you test positive for methamphetamine?
Because it stays in your blood system, I've heard, for about 30 days, I think.
Test positive. There's amphetamine and methamphetamine. Methamphetamine tested positive.
Yeah, I don't understand that. And I just took this substance.
You know what you were taking?
No, she just said it was for my pain. I'm in chronic pain all the time. My spine isn't real. It's made of titanium all through it. And I have titanium hip and I have a titanium knee, and I got to get another hip. And it's been a struggle for the last 15 years, but I'm managing. And then that one incident that the district attorney is talking about, when I had morphine and something else in my system, I was prescribed that was prescribed, and a pharmacist went on the stand to tell them what exactly was going on, and I was within my legal limits of my prescription, and I couldn't take the field test because they wanted me to stand up and walk, and I couldn't walk at the time because that was right after my knee surgery, and I couldn't keep my balance. I didn't have my balance then, and I was actually following the ambulance to the hospital because my mother had a stroke. My cousin couldn't drive me because she had treatment that day. She had cancer. And so she had a treatment that day and she couldn't drive me. So I had to drive myself because I wasn't going to let my mother go to the hospital and perhaps die without me being there. So that's what I was doing that night. And I got pulled over because it was a freak storm that we always have. But I answered to that. And I don't see why something I've done since I was 3 years old should pertain to today or to that day 2 years ago. I'm fighting for my life here because I don't believe that I have much time to do that. I don't know where I was at. Taking my granddaughter to the beach. Okay, how my perfect quiet life that I strive so hard to build. And I don't drink or do drugs, and neither do the people I know or that's involved with my life today. I don't know anybody that goes out there and has a heyday every weekend or every 3 days or whatever. I don't